Attack on Mika!
I'm Yusuke Tomonaga. I'm 9 years old, I think. I'm so hungry, my mind is all foggy.
What's with the wandering eyes? Stop it, would ya? The meal just becomes so unappetizing.
Yeah, no food for such a good-for-nothing like yourself. Isn't that so, Kenta?
My brother Kenta always just eats without saying much. He seems to take all the praise as if it's just a normal occurrence. It was always like that when I was growing up. They would raise and cheer on my big brother, and simply just ignore me. It was no use trying to talk to Kenta. He was really smart and unsympathetic to everyone in the family. If you're hungry, why not eat some plants? There's plenty growing around that room. But they get angry at me if I go in. And besides, they said they're to be sold. They're only going to sell the flowers that grow on them. The leaves don't matter. Come on. Don't you even know that? One day, I was so hungry that I snuck into the room, which was strictly off limits. In the room, I saw several tall plants with long and fresh-looking leaves. I grabbed some of the lower leaves and stuffed them into my mouth. A bit raw and bitter, but edible nonetheless. It's been a while since I last ate, so I was completely focused on filling my empty stomach. So much so that I had no idea that my father had come home.
What the hell are you doing? The plants won't grow properly if you tear off the leaves!
That night, I was severely castigated by my dad and ultimately run out of the house. I was forced to wander the streets without any particular destination. I remember thinking that I was like some stray dog. I went from one alley to the next, and at one point it even started raining. I felt wretched. I gradually felt a fever coming on. There seemed to be a white fog drifting around in my head. I couldn't stand it anymore, and slumped down onto the ground. I can't even remember where I was at the time. I just slumped on the wet ground and gradually lost consciousness. When I came to, I was wrapped in a warm blanket. There was a guy with a scar across his face looking down at me with a worried expression.
Finally awake, huh? What's your name, kid? Where are your parents? Why were you there in the rain?
My mind was still foggy, and it was difficult having to explain everything from the beginning. As I explained the situation with fits and starts, he listened very patiently without interrupting.
I see. You certainly grew up with disgraceful parents, kid. Maybe not the right person to say this, but they're simply worthless human beings.
While I recuperated, he was very curious about my parents.
Your parents. What did they do? Either one. Tell me about them. Try to remember.
Flower shop, I think. They were growing plants and selling them. I was really not even sure what my parents did, come to think of it.
Well, that's okay for now. Yusuke, we'll take care of you here. However, there are certain conditions.
Mr. Munase was a young Yakuza of the Yamazaki clan. The next day, I was introduced to the clan leader. He told me he was around 50 years old, but he looked much older. He apparently had been bedridden for a long time. The boss saw me and tears started to roll down his cheeks.
Takuma? Takuma? Is that really you?
Huh? Dad? Are you really Dad? About 5 years ago, the house he was living at was swept away by a huge flood. Evidently, during this calamity, his wife and son, Takuma, went missing.
I found him at a facility. Something clicked and I brought him here, boss.
Mr. Murase's condition was that I forget my past and act as Takuma Yamazaki. The boss hugged me tightly as tears poured down his cheeks. That's when my new life as a member of the Yamazaki clan started. To be able to eat as if it were completely normal was a breath of fresh air for me. Every day I thought I was in some sort of dream. The clan members would bow every time I passed by. It took a little getting used to. Not sure how Mr. Murase pulled it off, but I even started attending the local elementary school. But truth be told, I didn't have that many friends. After all, I was the son of a Yakuza boss. The school, knowing this, didn't pry too deeply into our family matters. After school, I would always visit the boss's room and tell him about my day at school. I ran the 100-meter race today! I got the best time in my class!
That's great, Takuma. That's my son. How about your studies? Are you able to keep up?
The boss and other members of the clan were all really kind. Mr. Murase was especially considerate. He would teach me all kinds of things. Boy, I wish Mr. Murase was my real brother. How rad would that be? I excelled through elementary school, junior high, and high school. If there were any problems and parents were required, Mr. Murase and his wife would step in as my folks and smooth things out. Mr. Murase and other members urged me to go on to college, but I refused.
I'll ask you one last time. Are you sure you're okay with it?
Yes, sir. I want to repay you and the clan for rescuing me from destitution. After graduating from high school, I went through the ceremony and officially became a member of the Yamazaki clan.
I appreciate this, Takuma. The clan can rest at ease now that you are a member. Thank you.
Come on, Pops. We're family. The boss smiled, his emaciated face showing extreme pleasure. Over the years, his condition had only worsened. It really worried me. And then that day finally came. The boss's condition took a turn for the worse. The doctor that visited our home had all but given up hope. Tonight may be the final evening. Stay with him. Dad! That evening, there was gloom permeating through the entire house. Later in the night, the boss opened his eyes ever so slightly. Father, please don't go!
Come on, boss! We need you here! Do you recognize us?
Oh, sure, I recognize you guys. Thanks for these many years. Father!
Boss!
Apparently the boss knew perfectly well that I was not his real son. I was just so happy that Murase would be so considerate of me, so I played along. With that, Mr. Murase looked like he was on the verge of tears.
Boss! I wasn't trying to trick you or anything. This was not my intention.
You let me dream and hope. That's what counts. And Takuma, thank you for being here. Father, I've always thought of you as my real father, sir. I really mean it. Really. I feel the same way, Takuma. Thank you, guys. Really. Thank you. Father? Father!
Boss!
That evening, the boss passed away. After his passing, Mr. Murase was to take over the clan.
Yusuke, you're now my right-hand man, okay?
Yes, sir. I will accept it with pride.
Very good response, kid.
There is one situation that I want to take care of. What he meant by this one situation was regarding a couple that was doing business locally. Several days later, we visited a house not far away. Never thought I would be visiting this house again.
Open up, you scum! Come on!
Open up!
No go, boss. Looks like they're ignoring us.
Step out of the way. A little persuasion is all that's necessary.
This is a raid!
I forced my way in, busting down the door. Inside, I heard screaming. As I stepped in, the couple was cowering in the living room, their eyes blinking rapid fire.
Yusuke?
Are you really Yusuke?
Yep, that's right. This is the very house where I was born. These two people cowering before me were my real parents.
Why? Why are you here? You are Yusuke, right?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't remember having parents that would toss a kid out in the street to fend for themselves.
It's you, Yusuke. Please don't use violence. Listen to what we have to say, please.
Shut your mouth! The name's Takuma. We know all about you. Hand over those plants right now. My parents were growing illegal plants in their home and selling them for profit. Mr. Murase didn't just rescue me because I looked a bit like the boss's son. There was another reason. He noticed the leaves stuck to my shirt that day. He did some research and learned that my parents were growing these illicit plants and making a profit selling them. He figured if there was no real harm in it, he would leave them be. But in the last 10 years, things changed.
Their business dealings have become a little too flashy lately. We can't let it go on any longer. We can't have your illegal business dirtying up our town.
Okay, do it, guys.
You got it, boss.
No, come on, please, Yusuke, do something! We'll apologize!
Please, Yusuke, stop these guys.
I let my boys take care of them and went into the room. The room looked just as it had 10 years prior. Hello? Is this the police? There's a house here that's growing illicit plants. Afterwards, I watched the police come and take my parents away. I was not one bit concerned about their predicament. After hearing of my parents' arrest, my brother came to the station, but as usual, he seemed unsympathetic and unconcerned about the whole affair. I figured they would be caught someday. They are of no concern to me.
What? Are you also going to just dump on us?
In the end, my parents were arrested for growing illegal plants for the purpose of manufacturing illegal drugs. After serving an 8-year sentence, I heard they drifted northward. Presumably, my father's working as a day laborer, and my mother's doing various part-time work to make ends meet. They're living a simple life, it seems. As for me, I've become a full-fledged member of the Yamazaki clan, and working hard every day. I even started a family. I planned to support my friends and family and live my life as a member of this clan that saved my life. To be able to shun a family member just like that? What kind of mindset is that anyway? When I hear stories like this, I'm so saddened. But gotta say, Mr. Murase was kinda cool.